So for this next worksheet, you have what is called a value scale here from 1 to 10. And 10 is the darkest, 1 is the lightest, and is basically blank because it's white. So from white to the darkest dark. Now, when you do these different forms, for things like the cube or the pyramid, it's not quite so difficult because you have to think about the light where it hits. And so where the light is not hitting, it's going to be the darkest side, right? So for example, this pyramid here, if the light is coming from here again, this is going to be the darkest side. So I'm going to color this part of the pyramid really, really dark. Now here I'm just basically putting down a nice even tone. If you wanted to do some hatching techniques on these two, that would also be a good idea. But for the sake of time, I'm just trying to put down a nice even tone. And I want you guys to do the same thing too if you color it in. I don't want to see, you know, a whole bunch of like white marks. I want you to put down an even type of color, as even as possible, all right? I want you guys to get used to that. Right? So on this side here, this is where the light is hitting, so it's going to be pretty bright. So I probably don't even need to put anything. If I wanted to, you know, put down a light type of color, I could. So depending on the color of the object or how the light is hitting, the angle of the light, it's going to be, the color is going to be different, all right? But for this, I'm just going to put a little bit of a light tone there. Now, for rounded objects like the cone and cylinder and sphere, it's a bit more difficult. So yesterday, you guys, well, not yesterday, but anyway, for the previous worksheet, you guys tried to shade in the cone and cylinder, and maybe you tried to shade in the sphere as well. But the reason why it's more difficult is because it's round, and there's not this sharp angle here that goes from light to dark, right? The same thing with the cube, there's a sharp angle that goes from light to dark. So all you have to do is color in dark this side, color in a little bit lighter this side, color in very light on that side, and you don't have to worry about blending them together. But for cones, cylinders, and spheres, you do have to kind of blend those things together, all right? Now for something like the sphere, this is gonna be the most difficult for you, but what I want you to do is just start off by kind of coloring in the round part lightly. All right, start light and then go darker and darker and darker. And this is where you can use the eraser, right? So I'm gonna just go ahead and kind of give this one nice even tone. And then I'm gonna think about how round this is. Like, so you're thinking about circles that come out and come around and come around. And I'm just gonna start coloring in this bottom part a little bit darker. And I'm using the side of my pencil here. It just makes for a little bit of wider angle here. You know, when I'm coloring it in, I can cover a wider area. And then I'm gonna start coming in at the bottom again and make it darker and darker and darker. And I'm just gonna keep doing this until I feel that it's blended from light to dark and I have that effect of roundness. All right, so now that you have shaded in your objects and you've thought about what is the darkest dark, what is the lightest light, where is the light hitting, the last thing that you can do to add the illusion of form, in other words, you know, add the illusion that this is three-dimensional, is adding a shadow. Now there's already shading, there's already shadow on each of these objects, but these objects also cast a shadow. So that's what we call it, a cast shadow. So for example, this sphere is going to have kind of an oval type of shape of cast shadow, right? And depending on the angle of the light, it's either gonna be very short or very long, all right? But we won't really get too into that. You guys are in middle school, so I'm not gonna get too technical about the cast shadows and whatnot. But I do want you to kind of add a cast shadow, all right? And the closer it is to the object, the darker that cast shadow is gonna be. So again, it's gonna kind of go up from light to dark. Excuse me, dark to light. from the object out. Okay, so this is a basic cast shadow, and it can help add the illusion of 3D form.